Is there free will? Is that a thing? Or is this just a big fat lie? So, I'm going to start right away by saying that it's a bit of both. We do have free will, and there are also faded events, okay? Because the problem that I see is that, especially in the day that we're living in right now, things tend to be very polarized. It's one side or another. We always like to push for black or white thinking. But in real life, this is not how things work. So, this episode today is based on Kabbalistic knowledge. Honestly, I wasn't able to find another spirituality as old as this, to be honest. We're mostly talking about the text, the Zohar, which is pretty much englobing. It's a book that pretty much encodes energy and explaining to you how this entire universe works. So this is what I'm basing my this episode on. We need to understand that this is why in life you will often see everything tends to be in contradiction. It's because that's how life works. Even when you're looking at the way things work, our physical world is a direct mirror of the spiritual world, as in the metaphysical world, as in the part that we cannot see beyond 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 gosh, I can't talk today, that we cannot see beyond our five senses, which is a very limited thing. And even the way the world works, you can see there's always a duality, there's always a push pull, right? First of all, with the polarity of how life is created, you see there is the masculine, there is the feminine. These two sides come together, the sperm, the egg, and it creates life. Even when we're looking at every day when you wake up, how do you wake up? Well, nowadays we do have electricity, but when you're looking at the natural rhythm of things, you do have daylight, and then you do have nighttime, which is darkness, right? Everything in life is always operating in this duality. Sometimes you feel great, sometimes you feel low. There's always high and low, up and down, left, right. It's just everything in life is that duality. This is how the world was created, and perfect reflection of the rules of spirituality, right? And the reason why I'm saying is both, because everything in life works like this. There is only one thing that is universally truth, and that is the concept of love. That is universally truth. Yes, we still have hate, but I mean, it is the one thing that is at the top of the chain. Everything else in life, we need to be in that middle ground, right? Not too on the left, not too on the right, but in the middle. And it's actually interesting that I'm recording this in the month of Gemini, which is pretty much, we could see with the Gemini, the twins, there is this duality again, right? It was some people, one of the things that so many people complain about Gemini is that sometimes they have Gemini friends and they feel like it's Jekyll and Hyde. There is this, you don't really know what side you're gonna be getting, and again, it's that duality, right? The truth is somewhere in the middle. The reason why we need to have both of these sides is because we need to merge them together so we can have the ultimate truth in the middle. We need to be in the middle. For example, with the light, right? The way you reveal light, even literally, it's nighttime. You step outside into the darkness. You turn on your lighter. You reveal light in the darkness. They are coexisting together, and you need one to have the other. It's a balance effect, right? Just like Libra, it's the scale, it's the balance. And this is also what we're seeing with this new transit that is happening, Uranus. Now, Uranus can often feel like this. Uranus moving into Gemini. Uranus can often feel like this soldier that is fighting without a cause. But we need to understand Uranus on a greater perspective, right? Uranus comes here, we all hear it's the planet of change and disruption. But what Uranus is doing is literally pushing trying to create a momentum on both sides, create a momentum everywhere. It's wreaking havoc because it wants us to communicate. It wants the opposites to start interacting with one another. Now you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, but why? What's the point? But that is because this is how life was designed to be. The left is supposed to interact with the right. Constant interaction. There is supposed to be flow together. The energy is flowing from one side to another to find the truth in the middle, to settle in the middle. In Kabbalistic concept, we do have the left and the right. So we do it's and we're always striving to be in the middle through restriction, through like the left and the right, the left representing that intense desire to receive for oneself alone. So, which is great. We need to have that, right? The right is that intense desire to share, right? But when we operate our life in extreme mode, it's not good to be on the deep left where all we want to do is receive for ourselves alone and become that really just selfish force where we don't care about anyone else. And at the same time, when you two on the right, where this is where you start having people pleasing, crazy self sabotaging, self abandonment, and you cannot just give. So you need to be able to merge both. When we're talking about boundaries, which is amazing, which has been a huge keyword in past recent years, what we're actually saying is restriction. It's that Kabbalistic concept that is telling you that we need to be in the middle, a little bit of the left, a little bit of the right, and finding it's like that scale. We want to balance the scale with the middle. And this is what boundaries is also. It's literally finding that balance between giving, receiving. We want to be in the middle. Everything in life, it's I challenge you, you're not gonna find anything in life besides love, loving your neighbor, this big concept of loving, right? You're not gonna find anything in life that doesn't operate with that one principle of balance. Need to be in the middle, right? Restriction, boundaries, everything operates like this. Everything. You have your cheat day. Let's say you are a wellness conscious person, and then you try to eat healthy, right? And at the same time, you want to enjoy life. So you allow yourself to have a day where you treat yourself a bit. You have your chocolate bar, your Twix bar, you have, right? But then you need to also learn to restrict. You can let yourself go and just have Twix bars 24/7 every single day. We're going to start having a problem. Your body is going to let you know that it doesn't agree, whether you want it or not, right? Your health is going to start taking a hit. Same thing with wine. Let's say you enjoy a glass of wine. Once again, right? That's why we keep hearing about the concept of moderation. If you just thinking you're gonna be drinking a bottle of wine a day, then guess what? Again, your liver is gonna retaliate against you. So I'm saying this in a funny way, but they're not really funny. But it's just for us to understand that everything in life operates in the middle ground, restriction, balance. In the same way, it's the same thing with the free will. When people stop fighting about, oh, there's no free will, and then the other Kim talks about, yeah, there is free will, and they never end, the conversation never ends. It's great, they're having conversation, they're interacting and exchanging, but we need to understand it's actually both, right? When your soul comes here with a curriculum, your soul comes here with a specific purpose, your soul comes here reincarnated in this current life because it's working on a specific, correcting itself in specific pattern. The goal is this entire thing is a big gym where the soul comes here. It has, the same way in the gym, sometimes you have someone is trying to lose weight. That's the priority. Sometimes you'd have the bodybuilders in the corner. They're not worried about losing weight. They're focused on shaping their body. And then you have that athlete, who doesn't really care about bodybuilding or aesthetics. It's mostly about performance. Like everyone at the gym has their own little goal. So and then they all are gonna have a different plan to fit their goal. You might have someone spend more time on the treadmill, and then another person might totally be allergic to the treadmill. So in a way, our soul is the same way. Each soul has a different curriculum, a different plan that it comes to play out in this life. And this is why you often see some people tend to be really focused in the community at work. Other people can be like stay at home mom, like some people having like many children in a big family. I'm not saying one is bad, one is worse, but I'm saying depending on the assignment that the soul has, there's going to be different setup to help that soul achieve that, right? And some of the people are going to be loners, and that might be because they've had too many past lives where there's self-sacrifice so much, and now in this lifetime the soul wants to really focus on self, self asserting itself, and more having more power, and being more independent, and being a bit less codependent, etc., etc. At the end of the day, it's all to reach that state of perfection, but through slowly working on different aspect of the soul. That is what this entire life, this entire circus is about. And that's also, so this is the a bit of the faded side, the some explanation behind if the soul has a specific curriculum, then when the soul, before the soul comes down into this planet, this universe, right? There's a soul contract. The soul, I like to think about it. I should definitely make more episodes on that. I like to think about it as the souls are up there in the sky or wherever they hang out in that other dimension, and they have a huge gathering, decide it's like an auction in a way. I don't know if that's how it really goes, but that's how I like to think about it in my head, where they meet up with different soul buddies and a bunch of lights hanging out together, and they're trying to be like, oh, listen up, in this lifetime I need this relationship that is gonna be what looks like a toxic relationship, but I need it because I need to learn such and such lesson. I need to learn to stand my ground. So what other soul is gonna sign up for this? Oh, I also need these side of parents. I need two parents that are very emotionally unavailable, because I need to start having that training ground as a child, right? Where I'm alone and I feel alone. That way it fuels me to realize the soul goal, right? So this is how it goes when we're talking about soul contract. That's how it goes. So these are what these post signs are the part that I like to see as faded, because again, the soul has a plan, right? The soul isn't just joyriding. The soul is pretty much, the soul has a plan. So this is the part of the faded aspect. That's why sometimes in life you're gonna be like, oh my god, why did this have to happen to me? There's a higher purpose. Like the soul, it's aligned with what the soul came here to learn. At the same time, we do have free will, which, because it's almost like you could see as some big signpost, and then there's empty spot in the middle where you can have your free will, you can decide. And I also believe that the thing is kind of like shifting, where there are different according to it's like a reaction, action reaction, depending on, it's like a video game. Depending on where you are, then you move on to the next level based on what you achieved, etc., etc. So we're gonna need more episodes to dive into this. I'm realizing this right now. I don't want to make this too long today. But on the free will side, we already talked about the faded aspects. On the free will side, this is also the reason why the world had to be set up this way. That's why we have light and darkness. That's why we have what we call good and bad, is to give you, right, your soul that is inhabiting this body that you have right now in this life, is to give you some choices, some options. Because if everything is good, then what choices do you have? Right? If everything is bad, then what choices do you have? You need to have that duality so you can be able to choose, and so you can also have your own story and be involved in your own soul development. So this is why I'm saying it's both. It's both faded and it's both free will. It's not just, so I think we're missing the point with all of those arguments and fight. I think it's great that we're talking about these things, but we're missing the point with all of this endless debate, because those debates are not like, not often, people are not often trying to understand the other side. It's more I'm right, you're wrong, now just shut the doors, you know. But we need to understand it's a bit of both, just like I explained at the beginning of this episode. Everything, the way this universe is set up, is a direct reflection of the supernal, of the metaphysical, of the spiritual, the entire world that we cannot see, right? The light, the energy, we need to understand it's a system, and as above so below. And the same way we have this constant polarity, it's the same way when it comes to free will and fated events. There is also that same polarity. That is it for today. As usual, I like to let you know that you can book a reading with me. I do astrological reading. We dive into your birth chart. We don't just do that. We also do, if you have any major thing that you're going through in life, this is where I use your own astrological chart along with spirituality to help guide you. So, on that note, my love, keep shining bright like a diamond. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.